What's his name?
I don't know. I just met him. He's a friend.
Okay.
What if a simple phone verification code could unlock someone's entire digital identity, allowing criminals to finance thousands of dollars in devices while the real victim remains completely unaware? On January 11, 2024, officers responded to a Verizon Wireless store for what appeared to be a routine fraudulent purchase investigation. But what they discovered would expose a sophisticated mobile device fraud operation that had been targeting victims across multiple locations. Inside the store stood a woman confidently claiming to activate her own phone on her existing account. She told officers she'd maintained Verizon service for 2 years and simply needed to complete a standard activation process. Her casual demeanor suggested legitimacy, but one devastating detail would shatter her entire story.
I think in obstructing ID or obstructing.
What, for him, I don't have any.
Yeah, you're.
As Officer F requested identification, the woman's carefully constructed narrative began falling apart piece by piece. She claimed her ID was in the car, specifically in a cup holder, but when pressed, she couldn't produce any identification whatsoever. Her answers to basic questions about the account became increasingly contradictory and evasive. The suspect had provided the name of an 89-year-old legitimate account holder, someone she obviously wasn't impersonating successfully. But here's the most disturbing part. She had somehow intercepted authentic verification codes sent directly to the real victim's phone number. This represented far more than simple identity theft. It was complete digital identity hijacking. Officers uncovered represents a rapidly expanding threat in organized retail crime. Recent industry data shows 76% of retailers experiencing significant increases in coordinated fraud attacks, with criminal organizations using encrypted communication platforms to synchronize operations across multiple jurisdictions simultaneously. Investigation.
What's your sister's name?
I just told you my sister name.
You don't have anything in your purse with your ID on it?
But my mama just wants to be knocking something down.
Do you have like a credit card or a debit card?
No.
Revealed the suspect wasn't operating alone. Store records showed she had visited Apple locations in both Woodfield and Deer Park within hours of each other on the same day. At each location, the identical scheme played out, exploiting stolen identity information to fraudulently finance high-value mobile devices for immediate resale. But how did these criminals access legitimate verification codes? The answer exposes the chilling sophistication of modern fraud networks. Criminal organizations obtain authentic social security numbers from vulnerable individuals, then combine this legitimate data with fabricated personal information, creating synthetic identities capable of bypassing standard verification protocols.
She gave a fake name, obviously, because none of their shit added up. So he's got her real name. I'm going to talk with staff and see if there's like any money or anything like that's associated with this one female that...
Like a theft, you think?
Yeah, I don't know.
As investigators examined the suspect's possessions, the operation's true scope became undeniably clear. Multiple mobile devices were discovered, including a brand new iPhone 15 purchased that same day from an Apple store in Chicago. Sophisticated counterfeit debit cards appeared completely authentic until officers contacted the phone number printed on the back, which connected to a shoe manufacturer rather than any legitimate financial institution. The telecommunications industry's vulnerability was exposed in stark detail. Service providers typically rely on basic credit verification and personal information for device financing approvals. Precisely the weaknesses these criminal networks had learned to systematically exploit.
Okay, you're under arrest. Go and pop it for me.
What am I under arrest for?
Attempted theft over.
Officer F placed the woman under arrest, charging her with multiple serious offenses: forgery, possession of fraudulent identification documents, obstructing identification procedures, and attempted felony theft. Evidence strongly suggested this wasn't an isolated incident, but part of coordinated criminal activity spanning multiple jurisdictions. The suspected accomplice waiting in the vehicle? Someone she claimed to have recently met while being unable to provide even his basic name. This deliberate compartmentalization represents a calculated strategy employed by organized fraud networks, where individual participants remain isolated from broader operational knowledge to minimize exposure. During law enforcement encounters, this single arrest represents merely one component of a multi-billion-dollar criminal industry. The National Retail Federation documents that organized retail crime generates nearly $30 billion in annual economic losses, costs inevitably transferred to consumers through increased retail pricing. These sophisticated networks utilize strategic recruitment approaches, specifically targeting financially vulnerable individuals through cash payment incentives and profit-sharing arrangements. They operate hierarchical organizational structures featuring specialized operational roles: distractors, merchandise boosters, transportation drivers, security lookouts, and resale fence operations, each component trained for precise execution of specific fraud elements. Law enforcement agencies deploy increasingly advanced investigative methodologies in response. Regional task forces utilize crime mapping software and secure data sharing platforms, including the FBI's Law Enforcement Enterprise Portal, to identify and track criminal patterns across jurisdictional boundaries. Body camera documentation, exemplified by this arrest footage, provides essential evidence for successful prosecutions. Retail organizations implement AI-powered fraud detection systems, facial recognition technology, and secure evidence management protocols to maintain operational security against evolving criminal enterprises. However, criminal organizations continuously adapt and develop new exploitation methods in response to each defensive countermeasure. The suspect who confidently entered that Verizon store expecting to casually exploit someone's identity discovered a crucial reality. In our interconnected digital environment, every transaction generates traceable evidence. Every false statement creates detectable inconsistencies. And law enforcement capabilities for connecting investigative DOTs continue advancing rapidly. This case demonstrates that behind every seemingly routine device, activation, or purchase transaction could be a victim whose financial security is being systematically compromised by criminals who treat identity theft as merely another profitable business opportunity.